Well, when it comes to Epic Universe, obviously a lot of people, including myself, are very excited for this new theme park to open. And obviously, there are rides, lands, various things that Universal has never done on this level that will be very exciting to check out. But one thing I have noted before, and I guess you could say is a valid criticism of Universal as a whole, is the food quality is inconsistent, has been improving over time with Universal with various events and some of the restaurants they've opened and some of the ones they have redone. But I've often said the thing that could make Epic Universe into a great theme park is the food. And if the food is at the level or higher level than what they've done, and say what you will about Disney, I have many criticisms of the way that they run the parks nowadays. But one thing that they do consistently well is food options. They have tons of it. It's done very well. And they've had decades to really perfect this. And they put a lot of time and effort in developing not only the food items but snacks and different things like that has become an iconic part of those theme parks. And that's definitely something Universal is working on and will have to continue to work on. But in the spirit of that topic, we have another video here from Attraction Ideas that is specifically talking about the food coming to Epic Universe. And the title of this is Epic Universe is Revolutionizing Theme Park Food. So I really wanted to check this out. I haven't watched it yet, react to it, and give some thoughts on it. And again, if you haven't subscribed to Attraction Ideas, go over there and check them out. They're a really good channel, have a lot of good information, and we react to a lot of the videos that they do here. So hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic, and we will just get right into this.
With the opening of Epic Universe right around the corner, of course, there's been a lot of discussion. There's been a lot of talk around it, a lot of hype. But most of that discussion has mainly revolved around the rides, the lands, and the franchises that inhabit them. And I mean, understandably so, after all, that's what you're paying the big bucks to go to this park for. But as a result of that, something's gone under the radar. It's gone underestimated. It's gone perhaps underappreciated. And that is the food of Epic Universe. You see, folks, over the last decade or so, Universal Orlando has made it their mission to improve the food quality across their theme parks. The problem is that this process has been rather slow. They're dealing with pre-existing infrastructure, they're dealing with outdated kitchens, and sometimes even dealing with menus that need to be completely overhauled. So as a result, they've been sort of slow to implement this, and only some restaurants have gotten the treatment that Universal wants to give them. How?
You know, and on that topic, one thing that we have consistently talked about, not as much on this channel, but on our podcast where we, cover the actual, inside the parks and do reviews and things, is the food is hit and miss a little bit. Now, they do have some really good food options at Universal. Mythos is a fantastic restaurant. We ate there a couple months ago, and I know they used to have the banner up there. I don't remember if they do or not, but it was like voted the #1 theme park restaurant in the world one of the years. I can't remember which one it was. Legitimately fantastic. Everything we had there was a great meal and really reasonably priced for a sit-down restaurant. Another one is Wimpy's Burger over in Islands of Adventure, a very outdated land, but the Wimpy's Burger stand there, I think, is the best quick service theme park hamburger I've ever had. Excellent food there. But some of the other places can be a little hit and miss. Now, like he said, they have been revamping a lot of these kitchens and the festivals that they do, the main one being Mardi Gras. When we first started going to Mardi Gras food festivals, the food wasn't the best. I mean, sometimes it was okay. We've had items there that were cold. I remember there was a chicken biscuit dish that was legitimately cold, and the biscuit was like almost not even cooked. It was very strange. But as time has gone on, they've obviously gotten better at the food in terms of how quickly it's made for those festivals. So they have been making improvements. And I should say the Wizarding World food items have been great from the moment they've been introduced. So the newer things that they've opened have had really good food options with them. So it's just a lot of it is the existing things that they've done and like he was saying, outdated kitchens and things that need to be revamped. And this is something that they are focusing on. But again, I am very curious about the things they will have for Epic Universe, because I do feel like, food in theme parks is a very big thing. It's not just a side item to me. A lot of people go to theme parks, some people just specifically to eat food. So this is something I really do think they will, and I do hope Epic Universe really hits out of the park.
However, the great thing about Epic Universe and the distinct advantage that it has is that it's not working from some outdated or poor state. These restaurants get to be built from the ground up. They get to be built from scratch, meaning that every single restaurant can be up to snuff with the new level of food quality that Universal expects. It's part of why the food transformation at Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida has significantly slowed up, even more so in the last few years, because all of Universal's culinary experts and their chefs have been assigned to one project and one project only, and that is the restaurants of Epic Universe.
That makes sense. And that kind of goes in line with what I've thought too is once Epic Universe is open, not only the food stuff, but like when you're talking about the creative end of things, I do believe they will circle back around into the existing parks to update various areas of that, not only the food, but like rides, attractions, things like that. So I think overall, this probably is strategy with Universal is to really put everything they have into Epic Universe, make this a one-of-a-kind park, use their best minds, their best team members on building up this park, and then circle them back over into the existing stuff. So that does make sense.
And let me tell you, folks, their hands are full because they're actually going to be more full-service and quick-service restaurants in this park on opening day than there will be rides. So, yeah.
That is one thing that a lot of people have underestimated, or maybe they just haven't, you wouldn't really know this unless you're really plugged into the Epic Universe construction, but there is a ton of food options. Like you see all these restaurants being built, and in many ways, Celestial Park alone is almost going to be like a City Walk 2.0, kind of. Obviously, you have to be in the park to experience it, but there's going to be tons of food and snacks and drink stands, all sorts of things going on all over the park, and especially in Celestial Park.
Yeah, there's a lot of options and there's a lot for us to get into here today. So without further ado, it brings me great honor and pleasure to present to you the menu of Epic Universe. So first up on the list here is the appetizer, if you will, that being Super Nintendo World, a land that we already know quite a bit about as it already exists over in Japan and Hollywood. Thus, we already know quite a bit about the restaurants and the food that we might see here. Of course, the centerpiece of this land's food offerings is going to be Toadstool Cafe. It's the only restaurant in this land. It is a quick service restaurant. And let me tell you, folks, it's wonderfully charming. It's well themed. There are screens throughout the restaurant that change and do different things throughout the day and throughout your meal. So certainly a fun and charming enough location to have your lunch. But hey, the food ain't too bad either, right? I mean, there's a great assortment of Italian and sort of just American related food throughout this menu that's all really well themed to the world of Mario. The signature dishes here are the Mario and Luigi burgers. The Mario burger is an actual burger, and the Luigi burger is grilled chicken. So yeah, not really a burger, but yeah, sure, okay. And for those more interested in the Italian side of the menu, you have the fire flour spaghetti and meatballs, alongside a whole bunch of salad options, as well as a whole bunch of dessert options at this location as well. And you know what? The cherry on top of this location, as you might have already noticed, is that nearly every single meal comes with some sort of souvenir, which is a nice touch and something that, hey, helps you get a little more bang for your buck. Now, though this is the only restaurant in the land, there are plenty of other...
I will say, I heard nothing but really solid things about Toadstool Cafe. Never have experienced it myself, but I've read multiple articles. We'll talk to a lot of people who have been there, watched videos on it, and most people come away saying it is very good, very solid food. And again, one thing that Universal is doing really well is not only the better food options in terms of how they taste, but I guess you say the theming of it. Minions Cafe is a good example of, we've eaten there a couple of times, and that is a very solid restaurant that's themed obviously after the Minions, and all those food items, or most of them, are themed after, the Minions and Despicable Me. And there's a few items I've had there that are okay, but for the most part, they are pretty solid. But I think the theming of the food is something that, if you really look at Disney, they don't do that a lot. I mean, their quick service options in the theme parks, it's solid, okay food. It's not bad. It's just what you consider your basic quick service food there, some being better than others, but they don't really theme the food that much. It's basically, if you get a burger, it's a burger, and every once in a while they do run a special type of burger. But I think Universal going after this like highly themed meals, in terms of, like he was saying, you get a souvenir, or you've got the star in there, like you have a lot of things that are themed with the food, which I do think definitely helps with the theming of the land and just the uniqueness of going to these places.
Places to get something to eat in Super Nintendo World, though they're all snack stands. Now, the one that I would kind of pinpoint as being notable is Yoshi's Snack Island. We don't necessarily know exactly what they're selling here yet, but if there's anything to go off based on the exact same location over in Japan, there could be some pretty cool things here, including a green shell calzone, which, yeah, that looks pretty awesome. So with that,
one thing I would say is sometimes the international food items, like from Japan, they don't always bring those over to the U.S. because a lot of times just the palates aren't the same. So There are some things as well. He'll probably mention like Donkey Kong Country of the food items they have there. I don't think you'll see like exact copies of those from Japan because, again, at least to me, looking as an American, looking at some of those food items, they seem weird to me. I think they had a hot dog with avocado something on it, like avocado sauce or something. I don't think many American audiences would be into that too much, so I think you could probably see much more simpler items, but maybe in the same like spirit of those items, but maybe different flavors. That would be my guess, at least.
That out of the way, why don't we just keep moving throughout the park here, and let's move up over to Dark Universe, which will have 2 quick service restaurants, one being Das Steakhouse, which I know you're thinking, a quick service restaurant that sells steak?
I'm in.
Are you out of your mind? That's probably horrible. Don't worry, folks. They don't sell steak here, despite what the name might imply. In fact, it's actually a joke. It's a pun. Get it? Steak, like the steak that goes to the heart of a vampire, because this restaurant is going to be run by vampires. In fact, more specifically, the theming of this restaurant is going to revolve around an old inn and dining hall that's built over the ruins of ancient catacombs.
I just have to say, the idea of this place alone is cool. Now, I will say, I'm not really sure what the exact food items will have here, but there used to be a quick service steak you could get at Hollywood Studios at Disney. It was an ABC commissary. It was a sirloin steak. I believe it was like $11 or $12, something like that. It was like a 9-ounce sirloin steak. It was actually pretty solid, especially if you're talking about just a place to be able to get steak. Quick service in a theme park. They don't have it anymore. This was probably back in like 2014-ish time period. So there is precedent on some level for quick service steaks that you could get potentially.
It won't necessarily actually have vampires in the restaurant. In fact, it will be vampire servants that will be working there. So you don't have to worry about them biting at your neck. No, the vampires that own the restaurant, no, they can't be bothered to be seen at the restaurant. Forget about that. There also will be plenty of vampire artwork and artifacts scattered all over the walls that apparently are even going to dive into the lore of the Dark Universe land, giving us some backstory and some Easter eggs that you might not find anywhere else. And that being said, outside of the theming, of course, there's also food. Yeah, let's not forget this restaurant has food, and it will be serving burgers, kebabs, and sandwiches. Of course, stuff that Universal is used to selling, stuff that they've gotten pretty good at selling over the years. However, it is interesting to note that there's no steak here. Obviously, it's good that there's no steak, thank God, because that would probably suck.
Not necessarily, but one thing I do hope on all the burgers they do, whatever they're doing at Wimpy's, like I mentioned earlier, just take whatever they're doing and put it all into the places that serve burgers, and you will have the best burgers in a theme park. It is a fantastic burger. If you have not had it, go over there and have it. It is, again, the best quick service burger that I've ever had is over there.
But I can't imagine how many people are going to show up to this restaurant seeing Das Steakhouse thinking there's going to be steak and that's going to be a sit-down restaurant, only to be met with a quick service restaurant that doesn't have steak. So I don't know. I know the name is funny and all, but man, it's going to confuse a lot of people. And one more thing to note about this restaurant is that all of the architecture and the artwork that we talked about earlier, apparently it's all going to paint the monsters as the heroes in the stories that they're telling. Whereas the other quick service restaurant, the Burning Blade Tavern, will do the opposite, because instead of there being monsters roaming around the restaurant or the restaurant being owned by monsters, this restaurant is being inhabited by monster hunters. Now, if you have a keen eye and are a classic Monsters fan, you might notice that this tavern here is in clear reference to the windmill from Frankenstein. So that's a nice touch. And what's also a nice touch is the fact that this windmill is going to light a blaze several times every hour, which is...
I'm very excited for this to see this windmill, because like he was saying, day and night, it's going to, the different intervals, it's going to be on fire. I think it's a great element. Now, one thing he was talking about where the Das Steakhouse is like pro monsters and Burning Blade Tavern is like against the monsters. You get to kind of pick a side. Like, which one do you want to be a part of or experience both of them? I think that's a really cool idea. And again, I think this is something that more lands should potentially look into doing, not only obviously with the food, but just the overall theming of the lands.
There's going to be an awesome effect on the level of the dragon breathing fire over in Diagon Alley. So yeah, I mean, that's awesome. That's definitely going to attract a whole lot of people towards this restaurant when they see it burning to the ground. As far as the inside of this restaurant goes, it's mainly going to look like a regular tavern. However, there's going to be a lot of trophy heads on the wall of conquered monsters. So that's going to offer some pretty cool, maybe even photo ops, and also just some great lore to add to the land for sure.
They're also going to have like characters in there, like character actors from my understanding, in Burning Blade Tavern, like hanging out in there. So, you know, likely very much part of Dark Universe, lots of roaming characters in general. But I do believe inside of Burning Blade Tavern, they're going to have roaming characters in there with, you know, while you're eating or drinking or whatever, kind of roaming around, like being in character.
As far as the food goes, strangely enough, this place also has burgers. So man, there's not going to be a shortage of places to get burgers in this theme park whatsoever. It's also going to have some more snack related stuff. So there's going to be some pretzels, wings, bratwurst, among some other specialty beverages, which of course Universal has kind of become synonymous for. And the last little bit of magic here is the fact that unlike Das Steakhouse, where you can't interact with the vampires in that restaurant, you're only interacting with the servants, here you get to actually talk to monster hunters. There will be character actors in the restaurant that you could just go up to and talk to, have a conversation with, take a picture with, and get some more lore and information about Dark Universe from. And though those are the only two restaurants in the land, there is one snack stand that I do want to highlight here, and that's DeLacy's Cottage. Yes, this location will serve up a number of sweet treats, but the one that's really interesting to me, that's notable here, is the fact that it will be serving cinnamon bread, which has become sort of a...
Oh, I love cinnamon bread. If you've ever been to Silver City or Dollywood, they're kind of sister parks. They have cinnamon bread there. It is worth the price of admission on some level to go get it, even if that's all you did. Now, I would not recommend just spending theme park admission for cinnamon bread, but it's so good. If it's anything close to those, it'll be a home run. And this place is, I don't know if he'll show it on here. This is the little cottage that's right next to the Frankenstein Manor. If you watch the construction updates, it just sits right next to, on the left. That's the little cottage here he's talking about.
Cult classic theme park food item at Dollywood and Silver Dollar City.
I think he's reading my mind here. Like I said, I haven't watched this video yet, so he knows his stuff.
Because they make it fresh and it tastes really good, and it's something that most people who visit the park seem to have every single time they visit. And
at least there, it's decently priced. The last time I went to Silver Dollar City was 2 years ago, and I think it was still like $5 or $6 for this, and you can get icing on it. You can get different things on it, and they have different types of bread. It's so good. It's, oh man.
Test, I've had it before. It's very good. So if Universal can execute on that on a high level, I could see it becoming an equal cult classic here as well. Not to mention also, it will be a permanent location for the Twisted Taters that are typically only found at Halloween Horror Nights. So that would be nice that you can get access to those now year round.
Am I the only person? I don't really care for Twisted Taters. I think when they're fresh, they are good. The issue I have with them is they kind of can get soggy. So I think if you get it really fresh and they're crispy, I do like them. It's not that I don't like them, but I don't like them when they're soggy. That's just my take, at least.
So now that we've knocked out the left side of Epic Universe, why don't we go ahead and move into the middle, Celestial Park, the hub of Epic Universe. There are a 4-pack of restaurants in this land, 2 full service and 2 quick service. It is going to be the restaurant capital of Epic Universe, if you will. And the first of these, which will likely be the first restaurant that you see when you enter the park, is Atlantic. Not the Atlantic, just Atlantic. That's the name of the restaurant. It's fancy like that, and I mean it when I say fancy, because this is the fine dining location of Epic Universe. It's a full-service surf and turf restaurant with a fully kitted out bar to boot. Themed to, of course, the deep blue sea, and with these giant glass pane windows that give you fantastic views of Celestial Park and the rest of Epic Universe. I mean, it really does seem like it's going to be an awesome restaurant just to be sat in. But what's...
Completely agree. Doesn't help right now recording this video. I'm very hungry. I have not eaten yet today. So maybe this is a good thing for the food video here, because I'm very hungry. But one cool thing about the Atlantic, I call it the Atlantic, but Atlantic restaurant here, is that the idea behind it, obviously if you're sitting inside, you get to look out, and then there's the fountains that you have right there and the waterworks, and be able to see the big show fountain, and I'm sure that there are fireworks going on. You could see them from there as well. But people looking into it, it's supposed to seem like you're looking into an aquarium. So it's supposed to be not only for the people inside the restaurant, but it does serve sort of like a theming or ambiance for people on the outside of it too. So I think that is a very cool concept. And again, this is going to be very fancy. Not sure the price points here. I would love to check this place out. But either way, I think just going in here to get maybe a drink and an appetizer just to see the ambiance here will be pretty cool.
Steak and seafood on the menu that you know for a fact Universal's not going to spare any expense on. Yeah, I think you can imagine that the food's going to be pretty darn good here as well. Though, I have to imagine the price tag's going to be pretty sky high as well. It will likely be a restaurant that most of us will not ever experience, but hey.
I suppose it could be California Grill-like pricing. So, you know, they have some things that are like, they're not terrible on the appetizer side. Now, if you get like a steak and a meal, you're probably talking, you start going $60, $70 per plate, some sort of thing, depending on how they set this place up. But I wouldn't be surprised if this restaurant is sort of on the same level in terms of price and like maybe quality and like service that you find at California Grill over at Disney World.
For those of you who can't afford it, hey, enjoy. That's all I gotta say about that. And with that out of the way, why don't we go ahead and knock out the other full service restaurant in this land, that being the Blue Dragon Pan Asian restaurant. Now, what's notable here is that Universal Orlando does not currently have a full service Asian restaurant in either Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios Florida. So this makes this incredibly unique. Yes, Confisco Grill and Mythos do serve some Asian food, but that's alongside a whole bunch of other cuisines, and it's more so a footnote on the menu, whereas Blue Dragon here is going to exclusively offer Asian cuisine. It's going to be a fully dedicated Asian restaurant. And when I say that, I really mean that, because it's going to have Chinese, Japanese, and Thai food all on the menu. Of course, the facade here is pretty cool with that massive dragon statue, but hey, the inside isn't anything to sneeze at either, as it's going to...
I think this could be like a sleeper top restaurant because, first off, Chinese food's fantastic. Then Japanese food's good. I have never had a lot of Thai food, but Thai food's good. But I think an Asian-styled restaurant in general, I think it could be a giant hit. And he'll probably go into, but the theming of this thing inside of it as well is also pretty cool.
Going to be themed to a nighttime courtyard where the only light is going to be coming from lanterns and neon dragons that are going to be flying across the walls. Also notable here is the fact that, like Confisco Grill over in Islands of Adventure, which has a bunch of Easter eggs to all the lands within that park, this restaurant is going to have Easter eggs to all the different parts of Celestial Park. So hey, another restaurant that has a ton of Easter eggs in it and a ton of stuff for you to look at and admire while eating your meal. Beautiful. But hey, if you don't want to sit down for a meal, you want to grab something quick, there are some restaurants here for you as well, including the Oak and Star Tavern, which is going to serve barbecue. I would say the like comparison for this restaurant would be Thunder Falls Terrace over in Jurassic Park in Islands of Adventure, and that's a pretty good restaurant, so hey, I don't think you can go wrong here.
Barbecue in theme parks, speaking as somebody who, like, I've kind of gotten into barbecue a lot, I've had really good barbecue, I'm pretty picky on it. I mean, it's typically, it's okay. Like, it's hard to find really good barbecue in theme parks. So this will probably be, that same level, which is fine. Like, most, if you've never had like really high end barbecue, that probably a lot of people think it's really, really good. I don't imagine it's going to be like competition level of barbecue here, but it's really hard to pass up solid ribs. Hopefully the level here is about the same. I would say if you compare this to Disney World over at Regal Eagle, that actually is really solid barbecue food in a theme park. It's over in Epcot. That is a restaurant since it's opened. I think the quality's gone down a little bit since that place opened, but it is really solid in terms of like the ribs and the pork and everything else you get there. You can still, to this day, get a half chicken for, I think it's around 12. I can't remember what the price is, $12, $15, which isn't a terrible deal when you're in a theme park, but it is very solid chicken. So if it's on that level, I think this place can be really good.
However, the other one, I have to admit, I'm not quite as confident in, that one being Pizza Moon, which I know a lot of people seem to be pretty excited for. I mean, the name is fun, the logo is fun, the interior looks fun, but let me just say this, folks. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's not likely going to taste very good, because the bottom line is this, folks, it's hard enough to even find good pizza in Florida, let alone good pizza in theme parks.
He has a good point. Good pizza seems to be difficult, especially in theme park settings. But I will say, if they can pull it off and make really good pizza here, this place could be a massive hit. Now, I love pizza, and I've had my complaints. I've often said with like Disney, like it's really difficult to find good pizza. And apparently some people have told me before that the reason for that is when they do the taste testing for pizzas, they kind of gear it toward kids. So a lot of the pizzas that they do make are like geared toward that age range and not really high end stuff. Now, Disney does have Via Napoli, which I'm not a big fan of personally speaking, but it's very expensive. But if they are able to have very good pizza in Epic Universe that's like solid, just as good as you could find at a good pizza parlor outside of the theme parks, again, this will become perhaps, I mean, you're going to have a lot of restaurants that could hit that level of like the most popular restaurant. This one could be it because basically everybody for the most part loves pizza.
All right, I mean, the pizza at theme parks has a really bad rap, even at Disney and Universal. And yes, I know I'm saying that Universal is going to provide better quality food here than they have even at their existing parks, but man, for them to get pizza right, I just don't buy it. I really have serious doubts this is going to taste anything better than just cheese on cardboard. But hey, I really hope they prove me wrong here. This is like the one restaurant that I really doubt is actually going to be good. But hey, listen, dude, if they prove me wrong, I will be a regular customer there on the daily. Make no mistake about it.
But let's be real. Pizza is pizza. So even bad pizza, it's still pizza and it's good. And really, you can solve a lot of pizza's issues with some Parmesan cheese. And listen, my Midwest roots are showing here, but like some ranch dressing. You can get, even maybe you dip a little bit some marinara sauce. You can solve a lot of pizza's ills with those things. And if you disagree, I'll just say that you're wrong. That's just the thing. But pizza's still pizza. So even if it's bad pizza or not the best pizza, give me some ranch. I can make it work. And, you know, ranch is classy. I know people look down on ranch dressing. Don't look down on ranch dressing. Don't be one of those people, okay? Ranch dressing is fine. Not on everything, but it's a solid Midwestern classy condiment.
With that brings me over to the How to Train Your Dragon land, where really, I mean, the icon here, you really can't miss it, is the mead hall. The facade is massive, the interior is massive, everything about it is massive. And I mean, of course, that makes sense for a restaurant that's supposed to have you feasting like a Viking. It only makes sense that everything is big. And the menu seems to kind of match this, as apparently it's going to be featuring a variety of meats, fish, and sandwiches alongside a collection of meads and ciders, which
I was going to say, this place not only better have meat, but it better have pitchers of beer. Well, they probably won't do pitchers, but at least like big handles of beer that you can buy. Because if you're going to dine like a Viking, I mean, I'm just sitting here, you know, what I've seen through the movies and shows, I feel like you have to have your meat. Obviously, if you don't eat meat, you don't have to, but you need to have that as an option and a good beer right there. I think that's a number one thing. So I imagine this place will have that.
yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's in the name after all. But I mean, you really can't be too sure at this park after all. Alongside the mead hall will be another quick service restaurant, one that's a little bit smaller in scale, that being the Spitfire Grill, which will overlook Burke's Fire Drill, the water attraction in the land, so that's pretty cool. As far as what they'll serve here, supposedly it's going to be hearty, flame-seared meals, so, I mean, this probably is going to range from barbecue to, hey, you guessed it, have some more, baby, burgers, let's go.
I love burgers. I'm not mad about a good burger anytime.
Oh, but let me tell you right now, folks, as far as the restaurants we're going to be talking about today, this will likely be the last restaurant that serves burgers, because the next land we're going to is the Harry Potter Ministry of Magic land, which will have you going through Wizarding Paris. So
this land has the potential to have the best food out of the whole park. I say that if you like French food, but French food is very popular. If you've ever been over to Epcot in the France Pavilion, it's always a hit. French food, I don't say it's my favorite, but French food can be very good. So this one at least has the most chance to be like perhaps the best, but like the most unique in terms of the food that they offer.
You could kiss American cuisine more or less goodbye here, because it's going to be all French all day, baby. Which is pretty cool, considering that there isn't really much of any French cuisine at the existing Universal Orlando Park. So this is definitely going to stand alone as a unique location for food within the resort. The first and most notable quick service restaurant within this land is Café
L'air de la Sirène.
Yeah, okay. I'm
What he said, yeah.
never saying that ever in my entire life. I will be calling this the Harry Potter restaurant for the rest of my days. That is
Agreed.
insane. There's no way anyone's ever saying that correctly, ever. But as difficult as the name is to say for us uncultured Americans, what I can say is that the restaurant will still be extremely popular, as it will be the first restaurant that you see when you enter the land, and it's going to feature a menu full of French baked goods, sandwiches, and desserts, and of course, butterbeer. It also appears that this restaurant is going to have some pretty intricate architecture, so that's pretty cool. And apparently they're even doing a giant dessert display that's constructed of almost 2,000 decorative individual cream puffs. So yeah, there's going to be some fun stuff in here as well. On the flip side of that, what might not necessarily...
Also, Cafe de la Racine, I said that terrible, but that is also going to have the outdoor seating. So it's going to be like you're sitting outside on a cafe in the streets of 1920s Paris. So not only the food, their options probably pretty solid, but the ambiance potentially. I don't think there's a lot of seating out there, but you can potentially be sitting on the streets of 1920s Paris to enjoy a meal, a drink, or something like that.
Necessarily be fun, but might in fact be rather ominous or scary, is the other quick service restaurant in this land, which is Le Goblet Noir. How about that for uncultured American? I could say that one. That actually stands for the Black Cup, as you might have guessed, this restaurant takes place in the dark side of the land. Basically,
see, I like this again. You have these different sides of the land. I think it's a great idea. And this place is very intriguing to me as well.
You think about the Nocturne Alley side of this land, which is going to be really cool and really unique given the fact that we don't have a restaurant currently in Nocturne Alley over in Diagon Alley. So this is definitely going to offer up something very different than we currently have at any of the other quick service restaurants in the Harry Potter lands. Now, though the theming in this restaurant is certainly going to be very different from other Harry Potter restaurants, it seems that the food here is going to be at least somewhat in line with the other quick service restaurant here, the one that shall not be named, because it's also going to have French cuisine, though this might be more along the lines of maybe your traditional French cuisine, whereas the other one is maybe leaning a little bit more into the cafe side of things. This is going to be more like an actual regular French restaurant. But luckily for us, it is the last French restaurant we have to put up with here, because there is actually one other quote unquote restaurant. It's not really a restaurant, but there's another one that I want to talk about, and that's Bar Moonshine. It is an American bar in this land.
That's right.
And which is a nice touch. It's going to have U.S. Quidditch team pennants all over the place, a bunch of decor and memorabilia for the U.S. Quidditch teams. It's basically going to be the American hideout of this French land. But unlike the other restaurants, there's not going to be much of any food served here. It's mainly just going to be a full service bar, but a very big one at that. As we know, there is a bar over in Hogsmeade, in Hogshead, inside of the Three Broomsticks over in Ounce of Adventure, and that's a very small bar, right? And it gets pretty popular. So
that place, if you've never been there, it's a cool bar, but man, it is small. So I'm glad to see that a lot of the stuff in Epic Universe is a much bigger scale. Because if it's a busy park day, you want to go in here. I've seen lines around the building to get into it before. So hopefully it's much bigger, much more accommodating for bigger crowds.
This is a great way to go ahead and meet the demand for alcoholic drinks in the wizarding world while having a full-scale, full-service bar that has plenty of seating available and will undoubtedly be, I'm sure, very popular here. And last but not least is a snack stand that, of course, needs to be mentioned, and that is, of course, the butterbeer carts. They are returning in this land, and this time they're coming with a twist. Not only is there a new name, a French made-up name for butterbeer that, again, I will never say once in my life, not even here, and
I think it's like beer, I think. I'm probably messing that up, so feel free to make fun of me in the comments about that.
Also, there's going to be a French version of butterbeer that they've alluded to. They've not spilled the beans on what this is yet. And honestly, again, I'm not a chef, so don't expect me to know for sure. But I'm going to take a guess here and say maybe there's like a lemon version. Lemon juice is a common thing that's used in French drinks, so maybe a lemon butterbeer could be where they're going, though that's probably insanity. Something that I think maybe actually has a strong possibility of happening is the fact that hot butterbeer has gained a lot of notoriety, a lot of popularity over the years. And what are the French kind of known for? Well, they're known for coffee, right? I mean, that's something that they are pretty big on. And we have a cafe in this land after all. So would it be insane to say that the French version of butterbeer could be a coffee butterbeer?
That would be fantastic. I've actually thought about that before. If you had like butterbeer, like lattes and things, that's a good idea.
I would probably fly off the shelves. I don't know, just spin out ideas here. Maybe I don't want to get your hopes up. Let's put it that way. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What restaurant are you most excited to check out? And if you're interested to hear about the...
All right, well, again, solid video by Attraction Ideas there. So be sure, again, subscribe to that channel, and I'll put the link into this video in the description as well. But again, a lot of the food, I'm very excited to check it out because I do think and I do hope that Universal is going to step up their food game even more with this. So I think, again, with Epic Universe, as much as I'm looking forward to, and many people are, of like the lands and the rides, I do think the food options are going to become a very big part of it. As that's really, I mean, you talk about theme parks and popularity. One of the things that have, driven the popularity of theme parks are the food items and the drink items that you can get. Again, we talk about like Silver Dollar City and Dollywood. I mean, those, I can't speak on Dollywood. I've actually never been, but to Silver Dollar City, I've been there. I grew up going to that theme park and how much it's evolved over time. And one thing that they've always done well is the food, and it's themed. If you're not aware of that theme park, it's themed after like the 1800s. So a lot of that theming type of food, lots of meat on sticks, lots of tater twist things, lots of, different things of that nature. And it's all really good. I don't know if I've ever had a really bad food item there. Their big thing is also funnel cakes. Funnel cakes, I mean, it's hard to mess up a funnel cake, but that's also a big thing there. So if you're able, like they have over there, to have that cinnamon bread, if you've never had it, it may seem silly to you. You may think cinnamon bread doesn't sound that great. It's fantastic. If Epic Universe is able to do cinnamon bread on the same level as Silver Dollar City and Dollywood, I think it will become the probably go-to snack. I guess it would be a snack thing to get. And it's a big enough pan. It's not a giant thing of it, but it's enough like you can share it with 2 or 3 people. And it's excellent. So if they're able to do that and the other aspects of it with the themed foods, it all has a lot of great potential. And again, if they're able to do the food in a great way, I do think this will make Epic Universe not only a great theme park, but take Epic Universe to a completely different level. And then Universal can then take a lot of that stuff they learned there and circle back around to the existing parks to upgrade those. Because, we talked about before, and many people pointed out, the existing parks at Universal do need some updating. And I do agree, but I think maybe not before, but like while you're updating those rides and attractions, if you're able to upgrade the food options in those parks during that period of time, you can still get a lot of people to go over there. There's a lot of things that people do enjoy about those parks, Wizarding Worlds and things like that. But if you have great food options, new snack options that they can experience, that are maybe they bring over the cinnamon bread into the existing parks that way, that would then up how, the demand of those parks just based on some of the food and the existing attractions that people want to check out. So I think food is going to be a big thing. Obviously, we've seen that with Disney, as they've done food very well for a long time. And hopefully, with the theming that Universal's doing with the food, if it's just as good or better than a lot of the options that Disney has, I think this does take it to a different level with we talk about the Nintendo, Toadstool Cafe with the Mario options in there and the flowers, like everything that's in the food itself. We've seen this with Minions. We've also seen this with the Wizarding World, as those options are very much like England and the way that they present food and things like that. And a lot of people pointed to Epic Universe is obviously going to be very popular, but I think a lot of people think it's going to sort of die off in popularity. And I'm sure it's not going to be at its peak popularity 4 or 5 years later, but I still think this is going to be a really high-end theme park, a very in-demand theme park. And I think if the food options are very high, this is going to bring it to that level of, say, like a Magic Kingdom and type of sustaining popularity with good food items and not only the things they're presenting with the rides and the lands and things like that. But again, really solid video here by Attractions Ideas. Go subscribe to them. I am still very hungry. So now this video is done talking about food. I am going to go get some food. So that is going to be it though for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what food items or restaurant are you most looking forward to at Epic Universe? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.